Okay, so here we go. Time for another video. Gonna do another open kit. Now, last one of these I did was for the Dragon German half track and 88 millimeter. Really cool kit, and there seemed to be quite a bit of quite a bit of interest in that, and rightly so, because that's a really neat thing. But I happen to have another really neat thing in my stash, so I thought I would show that today. Now, this is the V2 rocket Meillerwagen with the Hanomag SS-100 tractor. So it's the V2 missile with its portable trailer, portable launch platform, and the Hanomag tractor. This kit is from Takom. Like the Dragon kit, it builds basically three different things: the tractor, the trailer, and the rocket, and you have it all in one kit. Now, Takom does another kit similar to this, where it's just the transport trailer for the V2 as opposed to the portable launch platform, which this is. And I saw on Andy's hobby headquarters, he did a build on this kit. This was a little difficult to find. In fact, for a while after he had done that build, maybe because he did the build and there was so much interest in the kit, but it was a while before I was able to find this kit again. And now I have it. So we are going to take a look at this guy today and give you a little bit of a closer look. This is how this whole thing builds up in side view. Pretty wild. And we have a kit number here, 2030. There we go. So let me get some bags and we will start off with the tractor. All right. Once again, of course, with my hand here. Hello. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and liking. So if you enjoyed the video, please do remember to like, subscribe, share, alert button, as I always say, all that good YouTube stuff. So if you enjoyed it, other people can enjoy it as well. Alrighty. Thank you. That's it. And now off to get some parts. Okay. Okay, so we will start off with the tractor, the Hanomag SS-100. And you do get a dedicated instruction booklet for this part of the build. And as you can see, as usual, the nice crisp instructions as you typically get with Takom and Dragon and Ryfield and Mini Art and all of the other enthusiast manufacturers. And we can see it is basically a straightforward build. We start with the chassis, we go into the motor, fenders, attaching all the wheels and tires, and then moving into the interior. As you can see, it is a multi-piece cab. It is not a one-piece cab. That is nice, and I will show you why in a moment, because when we get to this step, a kit like this, like I said with the Dragon kit for the half track and the 88, these things, these multi-vehicle or component kits, they scream diorama. So, at the least, I would think you would want to have a nice base to display it on. But with these multi-part cab assembly, as we see here, you can build this doors open, doors closed. There is a wide variety of 1/35th miniatures from a number of the model kit manufacturers. And obviously this is German. You can get German summer troops, winter troops, vehicle drivers, infantry walking, engineers, mechanics, whatever. That there's tons and tons of these figurine packages that you can get, and they would work great with something like this. But to move on, now we see our tractor is really looking like a tractor, and there is our finished machine. And then we have several different painting guides, depending, once again, date and theater. Okay, so then you can see the painting schemes, and then we are all done. All right, so let's take a look at the plastic. All right, so let's start looking at the pieces. So we do get a little bit of photo etch. Now, I must confess, I am not sure if this is for the tractor or for the launch trailer, but in any event, there's a little bit of photo etch in the kit. We get a little bit of chain. This, in fact, I know is for the trailer, but just wanted to show that and get that out of the way. And we have two tiny decal sheets, one for the tractor, which is probably this one, and one for the trailer, which I assume would be this one. Okay, and also for the tractor, yes, we get a nice set of tires, and like everything else with these kits from Takom and similar manufacturers, very nicely done. We even have sidewall detail on there, nice tread pattern. It is a dual rear axle, so we get one side, the other side, two front, and one spare. I really like when the spare tire is an actual tire so that it matches with everything else. Okay, so I'm just going to move that over. Now, I'm going to go through the sprues in no particular order, but we'll start here. And you can see we have some fenders. We have other elements of the interior. We have a seat, nice steering wheel. As usual, the molding is very crisp. As you can see, there's hardly any flash, or I should say, no flash. We have slats on the hood sides here. You can see those nicely rendered. We have on our next sprue, we have the side of the cab where the doors will mount into, depending if you want them open or closed. We have our roof, floor pan with texture on it, like a diamond plate type texture. We have the back of the cab. You see in scale, the engine is quite large compared to the sides of the cabin because it's a tractor. So like a tugboat, it's a small vehicle with a very large engine, so it can tow. All right, now we move on and we have the other side of the engine. And you can tell normally with these kinds of kits, there's a good 30, 40 pieces sometimes to build the motor. Here it is just a few parts. The hood can be removed to show it off, but a big engine detail build is not really the, I guess, the design goal of this kit. But that said, the engine halves, as you can see here, are themselves very nicely detailed. And then we have our doors. And so you can see they have the interior detail on them. That's looking good. We have the top of our hood, front of the cab, some very nice moldings on the leaf springs, assorted tanks, and here are the frame rails. So you can see it's not that big of a vehicle when it's in its final build, and most of that will be for that big honking tractor engine. So that is pretty neat. Now we move on to another sprue. We have some more suspension elements, dashboard. We have some very fine molding on there to outline the gauges and whatnot. We do have some engine detail parts here, assorted linkages and whatnot. Fan belt, so fan, blades at 90 degrees, very nice. Got the geometry right. And now we have more doors, right? So that's interesting. Wonder why we have 4 doors. Huh. That's why we look at the instructions. So I imagine what it may be is that you use a slightly different door piece depending if you want to build it door closed or door open. So there you go. We have our radiator. And then we get into the remainder of our suspension elements, wheels, some wheel backs. So that is all looking good. And then last but not least, as I usually do, I will leave the clear parts in their bag so they do not get scratched. But one thing I do want to show with this kit, Takom uses these nice resealable bags. So of course, you know, less plastic, better for the environment. But we're building a plastic model, so I think we've already made a compromise on that point. But you can see these clear parts are really nice. And the reason why I brought up these resealable bags is they are just so handy when you're looking at sprues. You can just drop them back in, seal it up, and it's ready to go back for storage. So that is neat, especially for people like me who like to do open kit videos. So, and now we see, taking another look at these doors. So, okay, so we actually have inner doors, outer doors, and inner doors. So they are two-part doors, even though there was a molding on the inside of that. So that's fine. All right, so we have a nice detailed build. Okay, that is the tractor. Going to come back in a moment with the rest of the goodies. Okay. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the instructions for the Meillerwagen, which is the portable launch platform and the V2 rocket. So this is, and you will see as we go through, a rather intricate build. So we have one paint scheme up here. We do have some notes on the instructions, as with the tractor. We have a nice sprue map, and we go right into building the frame for the mobile launcher. And as we go through this, and certainly when it's time to look at the parts, you're going to see a lot of delicate parts in this, a lot of long narrow parts, such as these various pipings and linkages and whatnot. So, and you can see also we are building multi-piece frames. So many pieces in this build. And also, and again, this too, you'll see more when we go through the part sprues. They are not parts that you can look at and readily identify, like with, you know, cars and trucks. You can look at a part, and after a while of building a few, you realize, oh, okay, this goes here or that goes there, or what kind of a piece it is. Not so with this, because it is a pretty intricate design, not just the kit, but the transporter itself, and the way this whole thing works, which we'll see as we turn the pages. There are options to build it with the launch gantry up or the launch gantry down. But what I was going to say was, the way the parts are arranged in the build, I believe, if you want to go the extra effort with this, that you may be able to build it so that you can pose it in either way interchangeably, rather than build it, you know, up and fixed or down and fixed that way. Like I said, that I wouldn't be able to answer definitively until actually doing this build, but the way the parts are, and typically I would assume with this, as with the other enthusiast level kits, the precision of fit and part design will probably allow for working this so that you can, maybe by adding some metal pins or whatnot from aftermarket, that you can have things movable. It will probably still be a very delicate assembly to have it that way, but I think that would be nice if it turns out to be possible, because then, you know, if you get tired of looking at it down, you can have it up, and vice versa, so that you're not stuck with having it one representation and that was it. So that aside, now we're getting into building some of the tires and wheels, and some of the toe elements, and some of the suspension elements here, the turnstile so that it can articulate while it was being towed. And now we get the wheels and tires on that. You can see that goes on there. So you see as this builds, there is the main frame, the launch gantry, and then the tow frame underneath that the rest of it rides upon. So all that nicely represented. Here we see where that chain gets incorporated. And one of the things I found after I bought the kit and I was studying the instructions, my natural mechanical curiosity looking at these things, this is why I was thinking it may be able to build this where you could go between the different poses in launch position or not, because you can really see mechanically how the actual transporter would have worked. So, which is really cool. So then we go and we finish up the trailer, and again, more detail pieces here. So this step looks to be all sorts of fun. And then we go into building the rocket itself, the V2, the infamous V2. And then we have the actual small launch platform, which the rocket would sit on to be deployed. And then the whole thing sits on here. So, and then we go into different color schemes for camouflage. So we have the trailer, and then we have the different camo schemes for the rocket. And I think it would be neat to maybe do a camo scheme on the trailer and then do the V2 and kind of this, I guess, call it like the classic black and white alternating pattern. Most of the videos, historical footage I've seen of the V2, I've seen them in this color pattern. So that would be neat to replicate. And there we go. Nice artwork. So let's look at what we have here. So I'll start with some tires. I'll leave this out as reference. We have some nice tires again. They are a different size than the tractor tires, and there is a different number of tires with the trailer, so there is no worry about confusing one set for the other, which is good news because that sounds exactly like something I would do while building. So that is good to see. So let's start. Now we have a number of fairly large sprues with the transporter assembly, and here is the first one that we get to take a look at. And you can see some of the elements for the launch platform, some of the, I would assume these are rocket fuel tanks that are part of the transporter trailer. But again, as with the trailer and all of these enthusiast style kits, you can see the molding is beautiful, very clean, crisp detail, basically no flash whatsoever. There are some injector remnants like you see here, no big deal, those just clipped off and you're good to go. So that is our first sprue. And now this one, you can get an appreciation for the length of the trailer because that is that whole side spar. And then this is the side spar for the, or part of the side spar. And then this as well for the launch gantry that gets folded up. So, between the trailer and the tractor, this is quite a sizable kit once it's all done. So, pretty neat right there. And I do have to say, one thing I am happy to see when I looked at the kit is this tube frame here. Fortunately, they did this piece for you because if that had been separate pieces, that might have proven to be a real headache to align properly. And now as we go on to the next sprue, this is part of what I was talking about when going through the instructions. Some of these very fine, delicate parts. We have this ladder here, which, it's a beautiful, delicate molding, but delicate with a capital D. So these will take care being handled. And then we have a lot of these rather obscure mechanical parts here, which I'm not even going to hazard a guess as to what they are. So we'll just call them gadgets and gizmos. But they are aplenty, so there will be no shortage of assembled detail on the finished kit, as would be expected. So let me move these out of the way. There we go. And get a better view of these. And again, another piece of that launch gantry. So lots of nice stuff here, and even, very tiny pieces. It's all there. And then on this sprue, not the final sprue, because there is one more thing to show, one more set to show. We have a lot of little handles and bars and you name it, it's on here. So all of our wheels, so you can see all very good detail. So now let's get the pieces for the rocket. I did not have space to lay this out with everything else, so so we have two halves of the upper rocket, and this is where sometimes you may wonder with these kits, the price points tend to be relatively high. Why is that so? But just as another thing besides the number of parts that come with these kits, I did not see a part count on this kit, but as you can tell, it's a couple of hundred. This is no small afternoon undertaking. This is a project, but it's also in the detail of the parts. And I hope this comes out, but you can see they have all along here, all the seams, all the rivets, everything is on there. It's not just a smooth, featureless, boring piece of plastic. There's a ton of stuff on here. And what's great with this is, you use a nice primer, and then whatever color you're putting over it, as long as that primer is a darker color, the shadow of all of that should come right through, as long as you go nice and light with your paint, as you should be doing anyway. So that's one half. This is the opposite side. There we go. Then we have the lower end of the V2, and again here, all the little panels and rivets and everything, all there. I was happy to see nice big slots to mount the side fins, so there won't be any guesswork there, which is good to know, because nobody wants to see a rocket with crooked fins. I remember growing up, my brother and I used to build the ST's model rockets. You put the engine in and actually launch these things. And boy, if you didn't put your fins on straight, man, that rocket went all over the place. Woo! And good luck trying to catch up with it. So this obviously won't be getting launched, but again, it's nice having those solid locators so that there's no guesswork. And here too, on the fins, we can see all of the panel detail, various parts here. And then again, the last parts of it, the other two fins, and a few more detail parts. So we can just mock this up very quickly so you can see in scale. It's a rocket. The V2 was no small thing, and as I've said with some of the 24th, 25th scale builds that I've done, it's nice when you get to build these different kinds of vehicles in scale to each other. Obviously, this is 35th scale, but if you have a 35th scale tank or a few 35th scale vehicles, it's very nice to have these things, these more eccentric vehicles and pieces of equipment in the same scale, because then beside each other you can really get an appreciation for no pun intended, but the scale of these things relative to each other. Watching, historical archive footage is great, but you don't often see like this next to, the tractor. But with this kit, you get to do that, and then you can get a feel for, what these vehicles and pieces of equipment were actually like to be around them. So, alrighty, I'm gonna pack this stuff up and then a few more words. Alrighty. Okay, so there you go. That's what's in this box. And it just took me a couple of minutes trying to figure out how to get all those parts back in the box because it is a chunky box of stuff. Now, I will say, I'll repeat, I should say, some of the things I said when I was looking at the Dragon half-track in 88, which is, with a kit like this, part of the reason why I like to do these open kit reviews for some of these more interesting subjects from different manufacturers than maybe if you're someone who's always building cars or trucks. You'll probably be very familiar with AMT, Revell, and whatnot, and probably some Tamiya, but you may not be as familiar with some of these kits like from the companies Takom, Dragon, Riffield, and whatnot. So I like to pop those open so you can see what's in them because, you see a kit. This one I got for, I think, this was about an even 100, I believe, was the price I paid for it. You're not always going to be so willing to, take home something with that kind of a price point and, on a lark or a gamble. So I do like to show what's in these. So like I said with the Dragon, I did the experimentation for you. So now you know what's in one of these boxes. And yes, it is a lot of pieces, particularly on this trailer. It is a lot of odd pieces, but the instructions are clearly laid out. So as long as you take it step by step and follow along, you should be able to assemble this without any real issues, and you will have a really nice display piece when it is done. So I love these kinds of, like I said, more, obtuse subjects to build. As much as I love building, the cars and stuff that I do and, different kinds of trucks and whatnot, I love to see some different oddball things to build them. And, some of these things too, I feel this is a piece of history. This obviously is a piece of dark history, but it's still fascinating to me to, kind of split away from the historical aspects of what was going on with these rockets and just look at it from the mechanical engineering point of view and see how this goes together and what goes into it, because I think it certainly helps to build an appreciation for things we have in our life today that have nothing to do with any of this. When you go and you hop in your car and you may not think about it, but you build a kit like this and you're like, wow, there's all these different parts and pieces that make this vehicle work, and they had to come from somewhere, and those vehicles and those pieces of equipment had to be moved on something to get to where they are to build the car. And what about the mining equipment and the whole very complex and diverse logistical chain of vehicles and manufacturing, and a lot of those things you really don't get to see, not only in everyday life, but also in kit form. So to see something like this that gives you the educational opportunity to understand how this stuff was deployed and how it worked, I think is it's a real benefit. It's a real plus. So, and something like this, you are never going to see this in a museum. As far as I know, there are no surviving examples of this. We only know of it from archival film and photos and records and whatnot. You probably can find some not original V2s, but replicas of V2s. The United States did acquire the plans and the German scientists after World War II to build these, and these were some of the first things we did build, starting what would become our space program and NASA. So I imagine at some of the rocketry museums in the United States, you may be able to see replicas, or I don't even know if there's a surviving example of the ones that were built in the United States after the war, which is basically, you know, the V2. But here you can do it as was historically during that time of the war. So that's that. If you build this, obviously this is a project, just like the Dragon half-track in 88. You know, you don't go into these kits lightly, let's say, because if you go into something like this, you know, you have to understand it's going to be a while between the building and the painting, so that you can invest the time to do justice to what the kit can offer in terms of its detail, and also for you afterwards to look at it and you know, remember all that you put into it to bring out all that detail. So, you know, any kit is basically what you make of it, but certainly these types of kits from the enthusiast manufacturers, they give you all the elements to really build something impressive. And you can go as crazy as you want with these and end up with something, yeah, something unique to have on your shelf and add to your collection. So, lecture for the day. And that concludes the lecture of the day. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm going to try to get back to building. Been very busy the last few weeks with authors group this time of the year, doing outdoor fairs, getting out, selling books with my authors club, and it's been going very well, but it is very time consuming organizing everything, and you know, going there, spending a day at a fair, but a lot of fun. So now that in fact, just yesterday did the last one, so my Sundays are opening up again, so more time to build. I still have my Chevy Nova, which I started doing some of the detail painting. The spraying is done, but oh boy, I wanna finish that and get on to another project. You know, I'm always like halfway through one and can't wait to get into the next one. So, but that's a whole other discussion. All right, so that's all for this. Very neat kit. Hope you enjoyed it, and until the next time, alrighty. Enjoy your hobby. Goodbye.